KD and Devin Booker combined for 82 points, while any other player on the Suns, pick anyone you want, didn't get into double digits whatsoever. This is just bad. This is bad all around. However, it's another season, another part of KD's playoff legacy that falls far short than what you expected to be just with how great of a player KD has been throughout his entire career. But I want to know, after this sweep, is KD's legacy as a whole throughout his entire career, and especially with these recent playoff losses, is his career tarnished?
No.
Oh.
I don't think his career is tarnished. I think he suffers from being on a team that has $206 million salaries for the players, $104 million in luxury tax, and they have no depth. They have three players: Booker, KD, and Beal. And Beal came up small. A lot was counted on for him, and he really didn't deliver. And they got rid of Chris Paul. They got rid of Monty Williams as their coach. They brought in what's his name?
Frank Vogel, the head coach?
Vogel, right?
Yeah.
After a lot of interviews with other people, it was a tough choice. They brought in Vogel. I just think the ownership screwed up the team. I don't think it's KD's fault. KD's big mistake was he didn't stay with the Warriors. Should have stayed with the Warriors, would have had at least 2 more championships, and that would have heightened his career, but I don't think his career is tarnished by this getting knocked out of the playoffs here because the Suns they only have 3 players.
Yeah, no, I'm going to completely agree with you with that. I'm going with yes. I'm going to say yes. KD's career is tarnished, but am I saying he's a horrible player? No.
He's not a horrible player.
Nowhere
my
near.
God.
Does he deserve to be a top 75 player in the NBA? Obviously, yes. Is he one of the NBA's greatest players? If you want to put him in the top 20, is he a top 20 player all time? I think he definitely has a case. However, I think if we're talking about legacy, put him up against the all-time greats when it comes to success, I think this is where he diminishes so far below a lot of these great players. How about this? I'll twist it a little bit. Maybe not tarnished. Has his career been a disappointment when it comes to accolades? 1,000% yes.
Well, given the way it started, I would say yes, because he had 2 finals MVPs with the Warriors.
Yeah.
And he was their player. I mean, he shined over Steph Curry, I think. I mean, Curry's a big name, and Curry changed the game of basketball with his 3-point shooting. But I think when KD was there, he was the number 1 player for them.
Oh, I'm sure.
And why he was upset with them, I never figured that out. I don't understand.
It was a Draymond Green thing, supposedly. He called him a B, and then they got into an argument, and that's why he left. I will say this, though. Now what we're hearing from this organization, well, KD, he's saying that Frank Vogel is a horrible coach because he didn't drop enough plays for him, and he would just sort of relegate him into the corner. Frank Vogel comes out and says the front office wouldn't let him get a point guard for his team. This is the quote, according to Chris Hayes. Frank Vogel wanted a point guard on that roster, and the front office believed that bringing a point guard would take the ball out of the hands of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant.
That's crazy. Every team needs a point guard.
That was also from the Dan Le Batard show.
Yeah.
This is where I think it's a massive disappointment because I think, honestly, with the amount of players KD has played with, he should have had maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 finals because these are the players that he played with. These are his teammates, some notable ones. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Curry, Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Serge Ibaka, Steven Adams, who's not a bad player, DeMarcus Cousins, sort of on the back half of his career with the Warriors, Andre Iguodala, Finals MVP, Bradley Beal had his worst scoring performance since the number is 2015-16 season. And then finally, Draymond Green, who I think, if we're talking about impact on a team, Draymond Green and the Warriors is a very key piece of that team, although he has problem punching people and yelling at refs.
Yeah.
But besides that, we're talking about teammates who, I mean...
Well, didn't Durant get to the finals with Russell Westbrook and Harden?
Correct.
They did get to the finals. They didn't win, but they got there. They got there. So, and then he decided to go with the Warriors, and he won 2 championships there. So he was on a roll.
If he didn't get hurt, they would have won 3 straight. They would have beaten the Raptors.
Yeah.
They definitely would have. But we're talking about guys who, you go down this list, you throw a dart, Hall of Famer. No matter where you go, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. Yeah, maybe DeMarcus Cousins.
Kyrie Irving, a head case.
Maybe.
Kyrie Irving, a head case.
I mean,
right. With his time with the Nets was a disaster.
That entire Nets experiment was the worst decision that he probably could have made. Leave the Warriors at that time. You just lost an NBA Finals because you got hurt. Come back when you're healthy and let's go win this thing. That's the biggest mistake he's ever made. The
Suns should have stuck with Monty Williams as their coach. I think that he was a coach of the year one year with them.
He won. Right. He kept winning 60 games.
Yeah,
made it to an NBA Finals. Was up 2-0 against the Bucks in the finals, and then the Chris Paul syndrome, where he can't win an NBA Finals for the life of him for whatever reason. That struck, and they couldn't get it done.
I don't see. You know what? I think he's in purgatory here. I don't think they're going to do much next year. Their structure and their salaries just won't allow it. I think he maybe ought to demand a trade.
Well, that might be something that the Suns do on their own because their draft picks are basically zero. They don't have really any draft capital.
They've got their luxury tax galore here.
Right.
Their salaries are over $200 million
you
for next year.
You can't even build a team around the top three players. But those teammates, if we're talking about combined in their careers, KD has played with 10 assist titles winners, 5 from Chris Paul, 2 from James Harden, and 3 from Russell Westbrook, 2 steals titles champions, Steph Curry and Draymond Green, 2 blocks titles champions with Serge Ibaka, 4 triple-double seasons, Westbrook had all 4, and then 2 50-40-90 seasons, Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving.
Well, you know what? He got done in by the head office in Oklahoma City when they traded Harden away. Right, he played another year with Westbrook. He and Westbrook together. Harden was gone. They should have hung on to him. They might have won the final. They might have won a championship with Oklahoma City. So I think he has no one to blame but himself because he could have stayed with the Warriors.
Absolutely.
But I don't think his career is tarnished by it. I think that you look at not only his NBA performance but playing in the Olympics. How good he played there, some of the shots he hit in those games, and he's one of the best players ever, for sure. And he's going to be remembered that way, and he does have 2 rings.
He does have 2 rings, but it's with the Warriors.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, think about this. If he rides out most of the rest of his career, let's say this is the second year off the Warriors. So he was with the Warriors from when he started back in, 2017, up until about 2021, 2022. You're telling me they can't win 2 other championships? You can't tell me they might win 3 other championships?
They could have won maybe 3 or 4.
And then after that, you could say, okay, I want to try new things. You go to Brooklyn or you stay with the Suns. No, you decided after 3 seasons, because, maybe you and Draymond Green's relationship wasn't the best, but hell, I don't care. How many wins do you have? Are you putting up wins? How many titles are you winning? A lot? Well, let's keep going. Yeah, you got hurt. Okay, and that's unfortunate. You wanted to experiment with your buddy, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, well, normally, you don't join your buddies. You normally give yourself challenges. Now, albeit, I'll give this, the Warriors kind of begged Kevin Durant to come after the 73-9 season. They went over to the Hamptons on Long Island, and they basically went on bended knee and said, hey, Kevin Durant, please, we need you to beat LeBron James. And then he did. Won 2 championships in a row. Could have won 3 against the Raptors. Decided to leave. That might be one of the biggest mistakes a player has made in sports history. By his own free will. Yeah. He wanted out. That might be one of the biggest mistakes a player in the 4 major sports has ever made in their career.
My guess is he probably looks at it as a mistake now, too, given what happened this year. Yeah.
I would completely agree with that.
And since he left the Warriors, it's been a comedy of errors.
Well, I'll also say this. The Suns are going backwards. Think about this. They went to the NBA Finals, right? They were up 2-0. Then following after that, Luka takes care of them. I think shocks them, actually. I think that was a massive upset. Then last year with Denver, they win 2 games because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker at home did literally everything to succeed. And then what do? You get rid of a lot of your good players. DeAndre Ayton leaves. You bring in Nurkic. You bring in Bradley Beal. And lo and behold, what happens after you bring in these new players and everything's exciting? You get swept. Now, I should have done this before the show, so I apologize. We actually, when we talked about this Kevin Durant trade, I think we talked about how big of an impact this will be. So by the next show, I'm gonna look back at that clip and I'll figure out, how right or wrong we were on what we think the Phoenix Suns would have been with Kevin Durant. Because I think the way stuff panned out, history might have told us that they should be. I think what we're saying about the Celtics, we actually said about the Suns, where they should be going deep in the playoffs. So I'll look back on that and I'll see exactly what our takes were, because I do not think we thought that the Suns would go up here winning multiple championships. I think we were more on the caution side, where it's like, well, history tells us Kevin Durant's not great.
I picked the Suns. I thought they were going to win when they had got Durant and they had Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And they had Devin Booker. Man, I thought and Ayton. Right, I think that team is going to win it for sure.
We had them going very far. In the playoffs.
And the fact they lost it, I was very surprised. I thought they would win it.
Well, I'll give you this. You did win this portion of the bracket. You had, I think, Timberwolves in 6, if I'm not mistaken. I have the bracket somewhere here. I was on the very embarrassing side of this. I picked this series to go 4-0 the other way. I thought because the Suns swept the Timberwolves in the regular season that they'd do the exact same thing here, and I was very, very wrong.
I think I'm right all the way so far, but there was only been a couple the series decided. I picked.
Well, no, you're going to be wrong about the Bucks. You picked the Bucks to move on.
It's not over yet though.
They're down 3-1 without Giannis and without Dame Lillard. They're screwed.
Oh, Lillard is out too?
He's hurt, yeah.
Oh.
And not only that, the Magic I think could come back. I picked Magic in 7, so you might lose that one. But we were right with the Thunder. Depending on how this game goes out, and by the way, an update for the next game, they're down by 5, 26-21. We'll have to wait and see for that. And then who else?
The Celtics.
Thunder moved on. Celtics series. We both picked the Nuggets.
I picked the Nuggets, yeah.
I picked gentleman's sweep, so I was 100% right with that one. I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna go. I'm on the side of KD if we're talking about overall greatness and sustained success at the highest of levels, winning. I think that's where we're gonna say, okay, KD, he had a very, very disappointing career just because he didn't win. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great regular season stats. But what did that amount to?
Yes, 2 NBA championships.
With the
Many
Warriors.
players don't have that.
He couldn't do it before Curry, and he really can't do it after.
He got to the championship with Harden and Westbrook.
He did, but they couldn't win. I believe wasn't that
if they kept Harden, they might have gotten back there.
Could have. I mean, think about this. We saw 2018 Harden dropping. I think he averaged 40-something points in the month of February, something crazy like that. Yeah, that was that. I mean, that's Houston Rockets James Harden for you. Now, could he have been that with the Thunder? Because his role was basically just let James Harden cook. He's going to go off. And by the way, Russell Westbrook actually joined James Harden on the Rockets. Wasn't that great of an experiment. I think they made the playoffs once. But let's go back to the list before they end the show. Hall of Famer. Maybe Hall of Famer with Klay. Kyrie, Hall of Famer. Devin Booker, young, but he's a very, very good player.
Probably will be.
Chris Paul, Hall of Famer. Serge Ibaka, probably not. Steven Adams, probably not. DeMarcus Cousins, probably not. Iguodala,
no.
Maybe. He has a finals MVP. That means
so.
something. Bradley Beal, no. Draymond Green, honestly, probably. Just based on impact. So there's more than half of these players are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Or just very good at what they do. Maybe not Hall of Fame level, but good. So you got to win more than that. And by the way, you moved to some of these places. You moved to the Warriors to play. You moved to the Suns and played. These weren't like homegrown talents, and you developed, culture and chemistry from them growing as a player. You went to successful teams.
Yeah.
You got to perform better. Now, I will say this: Game 4 it kind of hurts my take a little bit because he didn't play bad. I think he had 35 points or whatever. 2 players combined for 82 points. Not a single other player had double digits.
You got to have more than 2 players in the NBA. You got to have some depth on the bench. You got to have 5 starters that can contribute. The Suns had 3 players. That was it. And Bradley Beal came up small.
So in reality,
2 players.
They only had 2. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.